Welcome to Sex Daily Podcast. Felt you guys wouldn't be possible, and thank you guys for subscribing. We're blessed enough to have Michael W. Cook. How are you doing tonight, man?
No, I'm awesome. How are you all?
I'm doing good, brother. Doing good. Hopefully, don't get the snow that they're giving.
Oh, it's coming. I've been wa
Unfortunately,
I've been watching it all day. It's coming.
unfortunately, Uh,
That's Kentucky for you, man.
yeah, rain and then snow.
Oh yeah. Yeah, next week it's supposed to be up in the 60s.
That's crazy, man.
Can't wait.
I actually can't wait for that.
Yeah.
Not much on the snow though.
No, I hate snow.
Me too, man.
I'm so over winter this year. They you hear the old timers talk and they're like, we're due a good one. And then we get a good one. And you're just like, ugh. I don't like none of this.
Yeah, we've had a bunch of good ones this year.
Yeah, and then the snow is one thing, but the brutal cold, the which I live up around the Lexington area, and the brutal cold. We had that snow back in January, and it was so cold, the snow laid for like 3 weeks, and that's just way too long.
That's crazy, man. Yeah, I remember it was bad, man.
And then we get the rain, like you said, the rain, and I just I'm just over it.
I
You
had to
all
walk up and down a hill for a week, man. I mean, for 3 weeks actually.
Yeah, you all got it a few years ago. It got real bad there a few years ago over in your area.
Oh, the ice storm.
The rain,
Oh, yeah, we had
the flooding.
the flood of 2022. Yeah, it was bad,
Mm,
man. We also had an
yeah.
ice storm a few years back too. I thought you was talking about the ice storm.
No, we get the ice storms. We got it pretty good. I mean, I'm from Harlan County, and you're from Knott County, so we have it pretty good as far as weather goes. Most of the bad storms um, get deflected from the mountains. But every now and then we'll get a doozy and it'll come through.
Yeah,
And then where I live at, if the wind ever quit blowing up there, everybody would fall down. So it's just wind is constant up where I live.
yeah.
I keep telling people I'm going to retire one day and I'm going to move somewhere warm, but not too warm. I don't want to be in Florida. I don't want to be in Texas. I don't know. North Carolina's all right. It still gets cold, but it's not as cold and brutal as it gets here.
Definitely, man. And you've actually been on coast to coast.
I have, yeah. I was on coast to coast in 2021, September of 2021. And it was weird. Like I had, I didn't expect it. I was at work one day and my phone rang and I answered it and it was this lady and, she was talking and she said she was from Coast to Coast AM, and I said okay. And she said I'm going to put you on with the hosts. You all can talk some stuff around. And a second later, I was talking to George Norrie and George Knapp and Connie Willis, and they planned it out and wanted me on the show. And then I found out that they're like, we're. I didn't know. I mean, obviously, it's live. It's a live show. And I didn't know that it was going to be that early in the morning. I thought it was going to be, hey, we're going to call you about 4 o'clock and that's going to be it. No, no. They called me at 1 o'clock in the morning and kept me on the air for 4 hours. And actually, that's the only time in my life I've run out of things to talk about. So, 4 hour conversation, and I run out of things to talk about with them.
And for someone that didn't listen to that episode, what did you talk about?
Bigfoot mostly. Bigfoot and my stint in the entertainment world. The book that I just have finished. I was in the middle of writing it at the time, and just upcoming things for that year and what the future held for me and my research. And we talked about the barbecue sauce company I owned at the time. Um, I created, I founded, created, and built the business of Sasquatch barbecue and hot sauce. And then back in December, I actually was fortunate enough to sell the the business completely out. So I'm completely out of barbecue sauce, out of the barbecue world, and I'm on to other endeavors. I knew that the upcoming year we're in now was going to be it's going to be busy. I signed with a publisher, and they said whenever the book's out, then we're going to send you on a book tour, and there's a lot that goes into making barbecue sauce. And I was an in-house person. I done it all, from the developing it to making it to labeling it to filling the bottles to marketing and everything. I've done it all on top of uh, working a 9 to 5 job and juggling appearances because I'm still, for the next 15 years, I will be under the mercy of Discovery Networks. So if I have a gig to do, I have to do it, no matter what I'm doing. So I do appearances and conferences. I speak at places, do a do a presentation about my work in the cryptozoological world, and you know it's crazy. Like if you had asked me 23 years ago if this is what I would have been doing when I grew up, I'd have probably laughed at you and said, "No, well, I doubt it."
Yeah, definitely, man. That's awesome though. Being on coast to coast is big time.
Coast to coast is big time. I get a lot of people see me on the Travel Channel a lot. I'm on two. Um, now I say I'm on two running shows now on the Travel Channel, but I've been on a couple of different ones. I'm on Paranormal Caught on Camera, one episode of it, and I think I'd have to get up with my agent to see what's going on, and I think I have another Paranormal Caught on Camera to film coming up in May, I believe. I think it's May or June, which is nothing. It's nothing but going to a sound studio, sitting down and watching a video, and then kind of analyzing the video. But the catch is I don't know what the video is until I get there. So I can't pre-watch it and have something come up. Most everything you see on Paranormal Caught on Camera is ad lib. It's I think my 15 whole seconds that I was on it, they asked me to repeat one thing once, and it was only because when I get excited, I tend to talk fast, and they couldn't decipher what I said. The hillbilly come out pretty strong in that moment. So, um, but then I have Bigfoot: The New Evidence. It was on National Geographic Channel. I worked on the the mockumentary Bigfoot Captured, where they posed the question of what would happen if we actually successfully captured a Sasquatch, living, breathing Sasquatch. Um, then I'm on a couple of different other things. It's nothing crazy. I'm currently voicing a cartoon that's not out yet. It's we are in the midst of production. I've done 3 voice sessions, so it it's weird. That whole I never knew anything voice acting would have been as difficult as it is, but um the last session we done, I literally repeated the same sentence 400 times in different tones and different levels of excitement, only for them to look at me and say, "Yeah, I think we're going to go with one of the first ones." And I was like, "Appreciate that." So, um, but that's weird. It's there's two working titles of it. It's either Bigfoot and Friends or Cryptid Rescue. So, and it has to deal with different cryptozoological entities, Bigfoot, the Loch Ness monster, Mothman, so forth and so on, with some very uh, big name Hollywood names that are going to be in it. Most notably, Alan Tudyk, who plays the resident alien on the sci-fi show. He uh, he plays the Mothman,
That's awesome.
and yeah, it's pretty awesome. And I got to actually quasi meet him, I guess is what you could say, during a Zoom call, and I couldn't even say nothing to him. He's one of my all time favorite actors, and um, I think Danny Trejo has been cast as the Chupacabra. So that's another big one that I was like, crap, I'm gonna be on the show with these characters. So, and then I've got another show that I think it's Amazon show. It's a cartoon. I've been cast to do a voice for it in the third season. So can't really say a whole lot about that one, but it's a cartoon. It's third season. It takes place in a little bit of a hot place, if you want to call it that. It's not hell of a boss, but it's very close to hell of a boss, and um, but it's weird. It's but as far as anything else going on, Coast to Coast was my biggest thing I ever done. Um, I could be in a Steven Spielberg movie, and that would probably top it. But nothing else is going to.
Have you ever got recognized out in public?
Oh God, I it my appearance changes so much, Seth. Like, uh, one day you'll see me with a full beard, the next day you'll see me and it's trimmed. I haven't fully shaved my beard in a long time, but um, people do, and it's weird. And I'm not any different than what I was, 20 years ago. I'm really not. What's weird is the weirdest one I've ever had, and I was actually there to make an appearance. Um, I was at in Logan, Ohio, at the Hocking Hills Bigfoot Festival 2 years ago, and we have handlers and people who tend to us and all this, and I it was brutally hot. I mean, it was scalding hot outside, and I said I'm gonna take a break from my booth. I'm gonna run upstairs in the theater and get some water, and I'm gonna chill out for a minute, cool off. And I come back down 15, 20 minutes later, and my handler meets me at the bottom. That's part of their job. They have to walk with you. And I had this big old dude. And we're walking down the street to my booth, and right beside of my booth, the booth next to me, was the guys from Mountain Monsters. And they had a line there all day. So I was kind of getting the backflow off of them all day. And so me and my handler are walking down through there, and I said, Jesus, man, their line got doubled since I went upstairs 30 minutes ago. And he said, Yeah, that's actually for you. I said, Do what? He said, Yeah, they're all here to meet you. And I said, Why? I don't understand. And sure enough, there was a line that was almost 2 hours long. It stretched for like 3 blocks down the street just to meet me. And I was like, I'm sorry. I'm a huge disappointment if you're waiting in line to meet me. Um, but like I said, it's weird. Like you get to know people. That's the weirdest thing. Like the guys from Mountain Monsters, it's weekly that I get a phone call from Wild Bill or, Huckleberry or somebody like that. And I have made some Hollywood friends that I never ever would have thought I'd have their telephone numbers or anything like that, or they would actually text me and call me. Um, but the whole celebrity word sounds so weird, and I don't consider myself anything like that. I work in health and safety as a living, so and that's you're taught you want to talk about weird. It's when somebody at work, um, like I'll go to a job and do a safety talk or something with somebody, and then they'll be like, "I saw you on TV." That's great, man. Now pay attention, put your hard hat on. So, we'll talk about this some other time, but you need to pay attention to what we're talking about here. And that's the weirdest part of it. But I don't know. This year I'm so busy, like, well, you can attest to this. To pin me down, it's the 9 o'clock on a Tuesday. So um 9 times out of 10, I'm busy from the time I get up to the time I go to bed, whether it's for work or for, something to do with the Bigfoot world or whatever. But um this year I've taken a break from speaking so many places. I'm still speaking at a few events. I'm not I had to limit myself on a lot of events this year because they would coincide with um, some of the book tour, um, and I couldn't contractually do both. So I had to say, okay, I could either go to this festival or conference, and or I can go here and talk about my book. And so I have to choose wisely. But I've got a couple of events coming up. Um, I think May and October. The book tour starts in April. That's when the book is printed. Um, I'll get my first copy very, very soon. Make sure I don't have any problems with it, and then I'll give them the go ahead to start mass producing it, and it'll be available at Barnes and Noble and Books a Million online, of course. Then I thought I was going to have to do the actual audio book, but we live in such a time now where I read a paragraph that was already predetermined. They used AI to plug my voice in, so I don't have to read nothing.
That's
And
awesome, man.
that is awesome. It's very cool, and it sounds just like me. I mean, it's scary, but awesome at the same time.
Yeah, definitely. It is scary. I'm not gonna lie.
People ask, we were Cliff Barrickman from Finding Bigfoot and I. We were at a show in northern Pennsylvania back in the summer, and we were doing the panel of speakers, and somebody asked if we were worried about AI, how AI would affect us and our research. And what they were talking about is these funky, dunky little pictures that these photographs people have AI generated where Bigfoot's standing next to their grandpa and all this stuff. And it's obvious it's not real. It's AI generated. And AI will, you can actually, a lot of people, I would assume a lot of people know this, but some don't. You can use AI to tell on itself. You can put a picture up on a program on, say, Chat GPT, and ask it if there's any AI enhancement to this, and it'll come right out and say, yeah, this was AI generated. Or it was photoshopped or whatever. The days of us deciphering whether something is real and not real is kind of come to an end. But with AI voice technology, I look into the possibilities where we have the vocalizations from the Sierra Nevadas, the Sierra Sounds, the Sierra Nevada mountains from back in the 70s. We theoretically we could plug those into an AI program, have AI decipher that language and reproduce it. And one day, probably very soon, we could actually use AI to communicate with these creatures.
That'd be awesome, man.
And it would be a step closer to the proof that the higher ups are always asking for. And that's something that, I can't say whether or not we're close to or not is the proof. I quit trying to prove any of this exists a long time ago. I got my proof on a riverbank in eastern Kentucky in 2002. I got my proof then. I don't have to prove anything to anybody. Um, in fact, it takes the fun away from it if it's definitively proven, mainly because of how the proof would have to be there. The proof would have to be um, made by dissection, the body. Um, that's something I unfortunately see having to happen. We have to have a catalog of what these creatures are, but it's an um, unfortunate end to what we're out here trying to do. And what I'm trying to do is learn and protect. Um, Nothing more, nothing less. I quit trying to prove anything a long time ago.
Definitely, man. And in 2002, for the people that don't know, what was your experience?
Short version, skipped school one day, went fishing, and one road, something rode off the hill in front of me, landed in the river in front of me, probably 50 feet, stood up, 8 foot tall, 400 pounds, give or take, covered in this dark uh, hair, this fur. Got back up on the other side of the riverbank and shook off like a big dog and started walking off on two legs.
That's awesome,
And
man.
and from then on, I always tell people myth literally fell into reality on me that day. And it changed my life. It changed the course of my life. I think my life would probably be very boring if it wasn't for this. Um it opened channels in my mind that otherwise would have stayed closed, would have stayed dammed up. Made me accept things that I would have probably had a difficult time accepting. Um, made me see the world a lot different. And it's something I talk about during my presentations and workshops and stuff at these events. The only place you can ever imagine going where you go to a Bigfoot event. It's the only place you can go to where it doesn't matter if you're black, if you're white, if you're gay, if you're straight, if you're Republican, Democrat, it doesn't matter. Do you believe in Bigfoot? That's all that matters. And there are believers and non-believers alike that come to these things. And the non-believers sometimes walk away believing. What I ask is that you don't walk away believing. You walk away accepting the possibility that they could exist. That's all I ask, instead of saying outright they don't exist. And that's everything. The aliens. I have a pretty hard time with the Loch Ness monster. It's probably the one cryptid that I want so badly to exist because I was a dinosaur kid, and what would be cooler than having a living, breathing, actual dinosaur roaming in the rivers and lakes and oceans, um, to a dinosaur kid. But yeah, I have a really difficult time with it. Consistencies and inconsistencies within the stories. What I found fascinating about the Loch Ness monster, I was uh, I was doing some research for this book that's out. And we'll talk about that in a second, but it I was just researching when was the first documented um, account of a Bigfoot, and I found it fascinating that it was actually about 100 years prior to the mainstream discovery of great apes like the gorillas and the orangutans and stuff. But the similarities in the eyewitness accounts, the descriptions of these creatures is uncanny. That they do have an ape-like appearance to them. So then I opened up another door and I went through it and found out that the first ever Loch Ness monster written account was by a monk on the banks of Loch Ness, predated the discovery of dinosaur fossils by 200 years. What they described was what this monk described was a plesiosaur. He described a long neck dragon like creature with flippers for hands, arms. He had no idea what he was. He had no reference to use to base that off of, other than what he had saw. We're talking 1600s. For those who are tuning in that will listen to this podcast, check it out. The discovery of dinosaur fossils was in the 1820s. George Washington went to his grave without knowing that dinosaurs roamed the earth at one time. So that fascinates me to no end. The similarities and and all that of things these people had never saw to reference. I mean, today you could say, well, yeah, I saw a Loch Ness monster. Okay, what it looked like? A plesiosaur. Most people's gonna know what you're talking about. If they don't, they're gonna pull it up on Google and goog it up. You didn't have Google in the 1600s, and you didn't have written accounts. You had books, but they did not date back that long. We just simply had no idea. Um, the closest things we had to talk about were the ice age creatures, and even in different parts of the world, they didn't know about those. So it's craziness. The world, the world is crazy. But this book, um, is called The Bigfoot. I was so original coming out with it. I I had several different. I had a storyboard. I had a whiteboard up, and I had different names of this book that I was going to name it. Um, the slow descent into madness was one of them. Um, Bigfoot crazy, and then one day I was like the Bigfoot, and it's been sent and reviewed through different avenues of people. I've gotten very good reviews back from all walks of life, from college professors to lawyers to um, pig farmers. I mean, I didn't use any kind of biases or anything like that on who I sent it to. Put a feeler out there. Hey, you want to review this book? Send me your email. Took about 15 people, sent them the digital copy, and said, "Here you go." And they all come back, just great reviews. Um, it's a little bit more sciencey than some would like. I go through every possibility of what these creatures could be, but I never pin one down. I dissect some purported evidence, most famously the Patterson Gimlin film from 1967. I talk about it a lot through the book, and I reference it a lot through the book because it plays a pivotal role in our research. But I never really come out and say, yes, I 100% think this is real. No, I don't think it's real. I don't never come out and say that. I leave it to the reader. The the simple fact of the matter is the proof is in the pudding with the Patterson Gimlin film. They just two broke ass cowboys from Washington State they didn't have the funds to even try to fake this, and they didn't have the technology to fake it. So the proof is in the pudding. And I've been right where this happened at in Northern California. And logistically speaking, it would be a nightmare to try to even begin to fake it. And I went into it with an open mind. Like, if I was going to fake this, how would I do it? And I got down to the banks and I was like, there's no way. There's no way. Me personally, no, there's no way. I couldn't do it. I wouldn't do it for that matter. So,
That's
but
awesome.
the book is at the publisher. I'm waiting on my copy right now. And if the, if the art looks good and everything looks, it's got to be perfect. It's got to be perfect for me to sit on the shelves at Barnes and Noble. Um, and we're doing a very cheap route. We're doing paperback. I'm not doing. I think my copy's a hard cover though. It's um, of course it will be. I mean, I feel like that should be. I don't feel like I'm being entitled or anything. I worked hard on this, so I should have a hard copy of the book. But um, it'll be uh, it'll be paperback. Um, some pictures, not a whole lot. We're using immersive book technology, IBT, where the pictures that are in the book and some of the chapters, you can actually take your smartphone and turn your camera on, download the IBT app, and scan over the picture or whatever, and it'll come to life on your phone, and you can sit there and watch a video of it, or the Patterson Gimlin film. You can watch it in its entirety when you scan over the picture. Um, the back cover, or the not the cover, but the back page has a pretty special thing. So if you buy the book, which, like I said, it'll be out here in a couple of months, you buy the book. I won't tell nobody what the back pages got going on, but whenever you scan it, you get a very special um, message from me and a couple other people that it's pretty it's just pretty cool how we done that. But the book should be out. This is February. It should be out by April, because the has to be out by April. The book tour starts then. Be funny to show up at a bookstore and not have a book to sell to sell and sign. But I think we're keeping them around $12-13 a copy, so it's not going to be super duper. I don't think anything over 15. Um, and I'm making, I think, $3 off of that. So it's not a whole lot. Um, so buy, so, people out there listening, buy 15, 20 million of them and let me go ahead and retire to warmer weather.
North Carolina though.
North Carolina, Asheville to be. I love Asheville, North Carolina. It's my favorite town to go to. It's my town. I always said, well, a long time ago, that I would retire to Asheville, and Asheville is a very. I'm a foodie. I'm a cook. I mean, obviously, I'm a cook, but I'm a foodie. I like weird foods, and I like the weird atmosphere. And Asheville's weird, and it's steeped in a lot of different history, and not bad looking women down there. If you can get over the body hair movement, the no shave ever movements, but not bad looking women down that way. But I'm talking completely years down the road. My son is 16 and just turned 16, and I thought going out looking for a mythical creature that society deemed me insane for doing was one of the toughest things I've ever done. Folks, let me tell you something. Until you have a teenager that's driving age, that's done doing nothing but driving you crazy, you ain't done nothing yet. So drop me off in a swamp or on top of a mountain any day, then deal with that. And it's mostly the mouth. And I would hate to know that I had a mouth like that when I was 16, but apparently I did. Because my parents there in their 70s, they say, well, you're just getting it back tenfold. And I'm like, oh my God, I wasn't that bad. But um, he's a good kid. He is a good kid. He's very smart, very intelligent. But there's a complete and total difference in being intelligent and being smart and being not intelligent and being stupid. And I think all teenagers are inherently stupid, but that don't mean they're not intelligent. He's way more intelligent than I ever was or ever will be. This kid came up to me 2 months ago, Seth, and he said, come up to my room and let me show you what I've been doing. He built his own computer.
That's crazy.
He plays on a gaming. He plays his games on a PC. He built and programmed himself. And I'm like, how did you do this? And, and he's like me. He's kind of a smart ass. He's like, you ever heard that song Johnny Cash sang "One Piece at a Time"? Every dollar I've had, I've bought one piece at a time from it. And I was like, Jesus Christ, dude. And and it's cool. Like he's got lights in it and everything. The tower lights up, and I'm like, well, you know what I can do that you can't do? And he's like, what's that? I'm like, I can build a table. I can build a cabinet, a set of cabinets. I'm pretty positive I could probably build a car if I had enough time on my hands and patience, but I cannot even come close to building a computer. I do good opening my laptop up and memorizing my passwords. And he's the one who comes up to me a little bit ago and he's like, what's the password to get in on this? And I told him, he goes, that's the same password to get in on that. And I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, are you using the same password for everything? I'm like, uh-huh. He goes, Dad, don't do that. And I'm like, why? He goes, you ever get hacked, you're done. I'm like, nobody wants to hack me. If they want to steal my identity, let them have it. They'll give it back, or they'll try, and I'll tell them, no, you can't have my. Yeah, no take backsies. You wanted it, you got it. So, um, but yeah, it's a different world, man, we live in. And yeah, I don't know how old you are. I'm assuming you're way younger than I am.
I'm 26.
Yeah, you're way younger than I
Yeah.
am. um, I've been on this earth for right at 40 years, and it's it's a whole lot different than when I was 26. I was it's a whole lot different. The my life has changed dramatically since I was 26, and yours will too. And and it's not a bad thing. You you grow, and getting old isn't isn't bad. It does suck sometimes. You get up and certain things don't work anymore, and or certain things work too much, and um a different pain and somewhere in your body from day to day. And but you know what? I'm here for a good time, not a long time. I've got about 30 years left, and that's going to be it for me.
I appreciate you being on, man.
I appreciate you asking me, man. We'll have to do it again sometime.
Definitely, man.
Well,
Appreciate Michael.
I tell you what, before we end, I actually started a podcast. I didn't want to. I never wanted to get into this stuff, but I think this is my official invite to you. And of course, I'll send you the little thing that I have to send everybody, but I would like to formally invite you to be a guest on What's Cooking with Michael Cook. What do
Definitely,
you
man.
think? Okay, we'll get that
Definitely.
set up and and get the ball rolling. We'll schedule something out, but that's
That's a
on
cool name,
YouTube.
man.
What's Cooking?
Yeah.
That's something I've always said to people, like, "Hey, what's cooking?" You know, and then it just dawned on me one day, like, "Holy crap, that's the name of it right there." And I've had several people ask me to do one for a while, and I've always reluctantly declined, and now I'm just like, you know what, screw it. But I'm not doing it in any kind of form. Like there is actually no structure, absolutely no structure to it. The first episode is up right now with Gwendolyn Purcell. It We go from Bigfoot to politics to religion to everything else in the course of 2.5 hours.
So basically, like my podcast.
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, kind of. Joe Rogan-esque. I mean, we talk about everything, and that's how you and I will do. I'm, I've been telling people that's agreed to be a guest, like, hey, how do we prepare for this? You don't. That's the beauty of it. Um, what's a phone call? It's a conversation. That's it.
Pretty
You
much, man.
don't have to act a certain way or be a certain way. You just gotta go with the flow. But I'll let you off here, Seth. I appreciate you for asking me, folks. There's no just a social media page, Michael W. Cook now, and um, the Bigfoot um, Facebook page. Go on there and like it. Be ready to hit order now. I think we're doing pre-orders next month. Um, Hit order now and send me into early retirement, and then the What's Cooking Facebook page and YouTube channel. I think we're gonna keep it on YouTube. I think it's gonna be free for everybody. So I am going to watch a little bit of TV, and then I'm going to bed. So you all have a good night. Seth, thank you for having me on.
Appreciate Michael Cooks for being on. Everybody have a good night and God bless.